My brother stole my identity and ruined my credit, so I took his dream job, froze his accounts, and let him watch me win from scratch. I've always been the scapegoat of my family. My name is Jordan. I'm 28 now, but this started long before I understood how deep betrayal could go. Growing up, it was clear Darren was the star of the show. Straight A's, varsity captain, mom's pride, and dad's legacy. And me, I was just the background noise. If Darren got a gold star, it was laminated and framed. If I brought home anything short of perfection, I got the disappointed headshake, the silent dinner, the lectures about wasted potential. The comparisons weren't even subtle. When I fixed the broken sink in the kitchen at 15, Dad asked why I didn't try harder in math. When Darren fixed a typo in his college essay, he got steak for dinner and a proud post on Facebook. They co-signed Darren's tuition for a top university without blinking. When I asked for help paying for a 2-year trade school to become a certified electrician, Mom just said, "Oh, that's not real college." "Honey?" And Dad laughed like I asked for a trip to Mars. I remember sitting on the porch at 19, watching Darren pull out of the driveway in his used but shiny Nissan Altima, another gift from Dad for staying focused. Meanwhile, I was borrowing my co-worker's bike to get to night shifts at the gas station. My hands were cracked from working in the cold, and my pride. It had already been stomped out years ago. But what hurt the most wasn't the money or the attention. It was the silence. The way they never asked how I was doing. The way birthdays passed without calls. The way I could disappear for weeks and no one noticed. And deep down, I started to believe maybe I was the problem. Maybe I was just the family disappointment, but I didn't know then that Darren's success would come at a cost, my cost. And one day, I'd make him pay it back, every cent. By 26, I was finally starting to feel like I had clawed my way out of the pit they left me in. I'd moved into a tiny studio with bad plumbing and peeling walls, but it was mine. I worked mornings at a hardware store and overnight shifts loading freight at a warehouse. I was tired all the time, but I was making it work. I'd been slowly building my credit for 4 years, paying everything on time, even if it meant eating instant noodles 5 nights a week. For once, things felt steady. I had a plan. I was going to trade in the Beta I'd been driving since high school and finally buy my first decent car. Nothing flashy, just reliable, something that wouldn't break down on the freeway. So when I walked into the bank, clean shirt tucked in, folder of documents in hand, I felt proud. Nervous, yeah, but proud. The banker typed for a few seconds, then frowned. "Your credit score's too low." "Like, way too low. That couldn't be right." I laughed awkwardly. "Are you sure you typed in the right name?" He turned the screen around. My name, my social. My credit trashed. 4 credit cards, all maxed. A $15,000 personal loan in default. 2 payday loans from places I'd never even heard of. It was like watching my life burn in slow motion. I walked out of that bank, dazed, heart pounding in my ears. I sat in my car, shaking, and pulled up my credit report on my phone. Every charge, every address, none of it made sense. I hadn't missed a single payment in years, but now I looked like someone who'd run from every bill they'd ever seen. And in that moment, I knew someone had done this to me. I just didn't know who. Yet at first, I tried to stay calm. I convinced myself it was just some random cyber scam. Maybe a data breach. Maybe I signed up for something dumb years ago, and now some stranger in Ohio was racking up credit card debt in my name. So I started pulling every report I could. I called the banks, the lenders, the payday companies. I asked for account records, addresses, phone numbers, anything that would give me a clue. And that's when my stomach dropped. The billing address on all the accounts, my parents' house, the phone number tied to the loans. It had a familiar area code. I checked my old messages. Then I found it. Darren's burner phone, the one he used when he didn't want his real number tied to sketchy Craigslist flips or side hustles. My chest went cold, like someone had unplugged every wire in my body. Darren, my own brother, had used my social security number. He didn't just ruin my credit, he stole my identity. I drove straight to my parents' place, shaking the entire way. My knuckles were white on the steering wheel. I barged in, heart in my throat. "Where's Darren?" Mom looked up from folding laundry like I'd asked her what time dinner was. "He's out." "What's going on?" "You know what's going on," I shouted. "You let him use my name? My credit is destroyed. He took out loans, cards. He stole my life." She froze. Then her eyes dropped. "He needed help," she whispered. "He was in a bad place. You weren't using your credit anyway?" I felt like the room tilted. "So that makes it okay?" Dad didn't even look up from the game on TV. "Let it go, Jordan." "He's family." In that moment, it hit me. To them, Darren wasn't just the favorite. He was untouchable. And I was just collateral damage. I spent the next 3 weeks in full damage control mode, filed a police report, sat through hours at the DMV to flag my identity, spoke to fraud departments at every bank and lender I could find. Most just shrugged. Unfortunately, since it was someone you know, it's considered a civil matter. Civil. Like my life being torched was a minor disagreement. Even when I brought proof, text messages, addresses, call logs, no one cared. They all asked the same thing. "Did you press charges?" I wanted to. God, I wanted to. But the moment I mentioned it at home, Mom looked at me like I'd just pulled a knife. "You'd ruin your own brother's life over money," she said, voice trembling. "He was just trying to survive. I was trying to survive too." But then nobody asked about that. I got denied for 3 apartment applications because of my credit score. One landlord told me, flat out, "You look like a risk." I couldn't even get approved for a gym membership. My debit card got flagged because one of the fraud alerts triggered a freeze. Meanwhile, Darren? He was thriving. New car, designer shoes, apartment in a high-rise with floor-to-ceiling windows. His Instagram was full of captions like, "Self-made never looked so good," and "When they pray for your downfall, but God promotes you instead." He was living his best life on my name. When I brought it up again, my dad snapped. "Stop being jealous. You always hated his success." That word, jealous, hit me like a slap. They made me feel like I was the villain for not rolling over and smiling while they let him bleed me dry. I stopped going home, stopped answering their calls, because when your own family ruins you, who do you even turn to? I won't lie, after all that I broke. I stopped showing up to work. Let my fridge go empty. Spent hours lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, wondering how it was even legal to feel this invisible. I didn't eat. I didn't talk. The world felt like it had already decided I wasn't worth saving. And honestly, I agreed with it. One night, I found myself doom-scrolling through Darren's LinkedIn. Yeah, I know, not my finest hour. He'd just posted a humble brag, excited to be in final round interviews with Innovate. Dream job loading, Innovate. That name jolted me awake. It was the same company I'd applied to last year. The same company that ghosted me, probably because of the credit background check Darren tanked. The difference now? I had nothing left to lose. Something shifted in me that night. Not rage, not revenge. Just this cold, quiet focus, a plan. Maybe not even a plan, more like a pulse. I was alive. And if I was still alive, I could fight. I moved into my buddy Eric's unfinished basement. Mold in the corners, no privacy, but rent-free. I signed up for free online certifications. Took 2 new retail jobs just to stay afloat. Opened a secured credit card with a $200 limit and paid it off like gospel. I kept my head down. I healed in silence. I rebuilt in secret. And then one random Tuesday, my phone buzzed while I was on break, sitting on a crate behind the store. "Hi, Jordan. This is Vanessa from Innovate. We came across your previous application. A role just opened up, and we'd love to invite you to interview." I swear, time stopped. And in that moment, for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel like a ghost. The interview felt surreal. I sat across from 3 people in a glass conference room, dressed in a borrowed blazer that was one size too tight, answering questions like my life depended on it, because it did. I talked about leadership, about problem solving, about rebuilding trust after failure. Every word came from my gut, from pain, from experience. And when they shook my hand at the end, I could tell I'd nailed it. A week later, I got the call. Offer letter attached. Full salary. Signing bonus. Benefits. Remote flexibility. I just stood there, staring at my cracked phone screen in Eric's basement like I'd just seen a miracle. I didn't tell anyone. Not even Eric, but what made it even sweeter, I found out, through a friend of a friend, that Darren didn't get the job, his dream job. Apparently, he'd been eliminated in the final round. Rumor was his references didn't check out. Or maybe someone flagged inconsistencies in his resume. I didn't ask questions. I just smiled. He had no clue I'd even applied. To him, I was still the broke little brother living in a basement. Still struggling. Still bitter. I kept it that way. Meanwhile, I started quietly paying off my debts. I stopped using the secured card and opened a real one. I furnished a small apartment, not fancy, but clean. Safe. Mine. Darren started calling more often, asking weird, probing questions. You working again? You still looking for gigs? You need help with anything? I played dumb. Still figuring things out, man, but I could hear it, the unease in his voice, the tension, like he could sense something slipping, and I let him spiral. Let him sit in the silence he left me in for years, because the game wasn't over, but for the first time, I was holding the cards. At Innovate, I became someone, not overnight, but steadily. I showed up early, took the shifts nobody wanted, stayed late without being asked. My manager noticed. Then the director. I got bumped from contract to full-time in 5 months. They sent me a laptop with my name engraved on it. A small thing, but it hit hard, like proof I finally existed in someone's system the right way. With the raise, I moved into a real apartment. No basement mold, no shared bathroom. Just hardwood floors, a clean fridge, and silence I earned. Darren, meanwhile, was unraveling. His flashy lifestyle was catching up to him. He started missing payments, had to return that shiny car he loved so much. Mutual friends mentioned he was asking around for quick cash opportunities. One of them let it slip. He'd even asked our dad for a short-term loan and got turned down. That's when he called me. Bro, you got a little something to help me float this month? Just until I get back on my feet, I almost laughed. Man, I'm barely treading water myself. Silence. Then a bitter chuckle. Right, figures. That call ended with a click. No goodbye. Our parents weren't much better. Mom texted me, "You really broke this family when you filed that report. Darren's hurting. You should be helping him, not hiding behind excuses." Dad left a voicemail I didn't even listen to all the way through, something about pride and forgiveness and being a real man. But I didn't respond. Instead, I started documenting everything. Every statement, every email, every timeline. I was building a file, one that could clear me legally and financially. Quietly, patiently, because this wasn't about petty revenge anymore. It was about something bigger. The truth was coming, and this time, I'd be the one to tell it. I waited until the timing was perfect. I'd gathered everything. Credit reports, IP logs, bank correspondences, even screenshots of Darren bragging online about things I supposedly owned. I filed another identity theft report with the FTC, but this time I attached documentation thick enough to drown in. I contacted every creditor with notarized affidavits. Then I filed a civil suit, and finally, I triggered the freeze. I sat in my apartment at 6:42 a.m., coffee in hand, staring at the ceiling like it was a countdown clock. By 7:15, my phone lit up. Darren, 6 missed calls. Darren, WTF is happening? My accounts are locked. Darren, did you do this? By 8:30, I got a screenshot from an old classmate. Darren's tweets were unhinged, ranting about banks being corrupt, loyalty being dead, begging people to Venmo him because shit got real. Then came the dominoes. His bank cards declined. His PayPal flagged for suspicious activity. His backup savings? Seized as part of the fraud investigation. His leased car repossessed in the middle of a lunch date, from what I heard. He went from bottle service to begging in less than 24 hours. And me? I said nothing, I just watched. Watched as the golden boy gasped for air now that his lifelines were gone. For once, the roles had reversed. He was the ghost now, powerless, ignored, alone, but as satisfying as it was. It wasn't enough. The world still believed Darren was the success story, the image of hustle and ambition. I needed them to see the truth. Not just about what he did to me, but who he really was underneath all that shine. And that part was just getting started. He showed up at my door around 9 p.m., eyes bloodshot, hoodie pulled tight over his head, like he was trying to disappear into it. I didn't open the door right away, just watched him through the peephole as he stood there, pacing, fists clenched and unclenched like he couldn't decide whether to cry or punch something. Then he knocked, once, then again, harder. "Jordan, please." I cracked the door open. He looked smaller, like the air had been sucked out of him. "You did this to me," he whispered. "You froze everything." "I have nothing. I can't even get a damn motel room." I stayed silent. "You ruined me," he snapped. "You could have just talked to me. We're brothers." That's when something in me finally snapped. "You want to talk about ruined?" I stepped out, holding the thick folder of documents I'd kept like armor. "You stole my identity. You stole my credit. You stole years of my life while you partied on Instagram and I was sleeping in a basement." He started to cry. But they were the ugly, self-pitying kind of tears, the ones that show up when someone's not sorry they hurt you, just sorry they got caught. "I was drowning, man," he muttered. "I thought you'd bounce back." "And I did, without you." He left that night with his head down, shoulders shaking, no words. 2 weeks later, I heard he was evicted. His name was flagged on every major credit agency. No one in the industry would touch him. He was burned. Our parents stopped talking to both of us. I guess they couldn't decide who disappointed them more, the thief or the snitch. Fine by me, there was no big celebration. No victory lap, just silence. Peaceful, heavy silence, that night, for the first time in years. I slept straight through until morning. At first, I posted it anonymously, just a Reddit thread titled "My brother stole my identity and ruined my life, so I took his dream job and let him watch me win." It wasn't polished. It wasn't bitter. It was just the truth. Raw, detailed, start to finish. Within 24 hours, it had thousands of upvotes. People were DMing me. Strangers, real people, telling me they cried reading it. That they lived it too. That they were the lesser sibling, that someone stole from them and nobody believed them. I thought that would be the end of it. But then a small podcast reached out, asked if I'd tell the story, even anonymously. I hesitated, but I said yes. 1 turned into 5. Then a YouTube creator animated the Reddit post. Overnight, it hit 1 million views. I started getting recognized, not by face, but by story. People called me brave, strong, an advocate. I'd never been called anything good before, not by family anyway. Eventually, I put my name on it, spoke publicly, did interviews, became someone other survivors could point to and say, "See, it's not just me, and Darren." He tried. He posted cryptic rants about fake stories and bitter siblings. He even accused me of stealing his ideas, claimed I was lying to get attention. But the thing about facts, they don't flinch. I had every email, every report, every time-stamped file. I didn't have to argue. I just let the truth stand where he couldn't. The last company that considered hiring him backed out after a quick Google search. He won't touch the tech world again. His shine? Gone, and mine? Just getting started. 3 years later, I stood in the doorway of my first home, keys in hand, sun pouring over the hardwood floors, and not a single co-signer on the mortgage. Every inch of that place felt earned. No shortcuts, no handouts, Just sweat, therapy, overtime hours, and the quiet kind of healing that doesn't come with applause. I'd been promoted twice. Now I was a senior project manager at Innovate, the same company Darren once begged to break into. People respected me, trusted me. My name actually meant something now, and not just on a credit report. I even started mentoring interns, especially the ones who came from tough backgrounds, the quiet ones, the awkward ones, the ones who flinched when you asked about their families. I saw pieces of myself in them, and for the first time, I had something to give. Then one afternoon, while waiting for my coffee at a corner shop, my phone buzzed with a delivery update. I looked up as the barista called the next order. That's when I saw him, Darren, wearing a branded gig app shirt, holding a delivery bag. He froze when he saw me. No words, no smile. Just a flicker of recognition, then shame. He looked down and walked out without saying anything. And I just stood there, watching him disappear around the corner. That silence was louder than any apology he never gave me, because that moment, simple, quiet, clean, was the full circle I didn't know I needed. I didn't need revenge anymore. I had my life back. I don't believe in karma. I believe in receipts and rebuilding. People love the idea of cosmic justice, that the universe somehow balances the scales. But the truth? Sometimes the scales stay tilted unless you put in the work to level them. And that's what I did, not for revenge. Not to humiliate Darren or to make my parents finally say they were wrong, because they never did. Probably never will. I did it to reclaim what was mine. My name, my peace, my future. Looking back, I spent years trying to earn love from people who saw me as disposable. I begged for crumbs from a table I helped build, thinking if I worked hard enough, stayed quiet enough, they'd finally see me. But some people don't want to see you. They only love the version of you that serves them, and when you stop serving, they stop pretending. Now, I don't chase approval. I don't wait for family to clap for me. I wake up every day in a life I built, knowing I didn't cheat, steal, or lie my way here. I clawed my way out of rock bottom with nothing but grit and a spreadsheet. And every time I doubt myself, I pull out those documents, the ones that told the truth when nobody else would. The final shot? Me slipping an envelope into a mailbox. A small scholarship check written from my personal fund to a kid I mentor. A kid with tired eyes and calloused hands, whose own family calls him too sensitive and not enough, because someone once told me I wasn't enough, and they were wrong. This time, the underdog wins.